Hello, this is Kevin Atkins with K&D Lures. I've had some requests for people wanting to know how to paint fishing lures, and there's not very many tutorials online to show you how to do it, so I told a few people I'd make a video, just a quick video, show what I do. And basically this is kind of what I do. That is a square bill with a crawl pattern. That is a perch. Another square bill with a crawl pattern on it. Got a DT16. And they're not very hard to do, but it does take practice. So a few of the lures I'm going to get out of the way, and we're going to paint one. The most important part when you're painting a lure is your base coat. You want to use an opaque, white or black, one that doesn't show colors through. This is a 2.5. I use the handy helpers. Helps hold the lure for when you're painting. And my airbrush, if I get it cleaned out here. Tip for people who are just starting out, I've got an old Windex bottle full of water. You can spray right down in the nozzle and get all that paint out of there. Quick, easy little tip. I have a top feed Neo. It's made by Idaho. It's a pretty inexpensive airbrush. It's not real expensive, but it does a good job. If you're just starting to paint, you will have a tip right on the end there. When you're painting with water-based colors, that paint will get clogged up on the little tiny needle coming out there. You should have a cover on that. After you paint for a little while, you can take it off. You can get a little finer details with it without it on there. But if you drop the airbrush, it will damage that needle and you'll have to replace it. So if you're just starting out, I would recommend keeping that little nozzle on there. After you get handling the airbrush for a while, you'll get used to not having it on there. This is just an opaque white I'm putting in. Like I said, it's just cover it up. I've got a little heater over here beside me that I use to dry between coats. I've watched a lot of people paint online, and I use quite a bit more paint than they do. Most of them will do 6 or 7 really light coats. I have been painting, and I don't put water in my paint. I use the top feed. I raise my air pressure a little bit, and I put more heavier paint on my lures. Put that in front of the dryer. I just got a little heater over here running, and it dries it pretty quick between paint coatings. With this white here, it's like I said, it's opaque, so it's not going to let colors show through. So it and that is covered. And I'm gonna let that dry for just a second. While that's doing that, I'm gonna clean my airbrush out. Got that white in there, and white and black will set up on the end of your lure or your airbrush quicker than anything else. It's not hard to clean one out. All you do is spray some water through there. Make sure the tip, see there's white paint. I don't know if you can see it or not. find, there's white paint on the tip. I know it's hard to see, but there is. All I do is reach in there and grab that and pull it off. And that will set it up. The lure, I got one side completely dry. Let the other side do it. And while we do that, I'm gonna mix up. I always shake up. I'm using, this is a wicked color. It's red. Had a customer request a red crawl, so I figured I'd do a video and do a red crawl. So on this one, like I said, it's white. Just gonna put red on it. Both sides. Red seems to cover really good. And I'm gonna leave the bottom white. And that is what it looks like now. I've just covered it in red. Nothing major. I left the bottom. I've got some fluorescent orange. And I'm just going to paint designs on here, nothing, just to change the shading for when I put the crawl on here. And the eyes. And it's not going to show up real heavy, but there is some orange in there. Let that dry. Put another coat over it just because I really want that orange to show the shadow when I do my crawl on there. It dries, as you can see, it dries pretty quick. And placement of these lines and things like that ain't super important because you're painting a fish and there's not two of them the same. So some people get real picky with their color placements. I don't ever pay attention to it. There's just a little bit of stuff I do as far as making sure if I need a shadow to hit lighter color in front of it so that the shadow really pops on my crawl. And you'll see I did 2 lines up down that. Turn this around and let it dry. And those colors that I put on there, the one side that's in front of the heater, is completely dry. You can touch them, you won't hurt them. I don't recommend handling them a whole lot, but you can touch them. It's not a problem. So I think I put my glove on inside out. I've got red paint all over my hands now. So those are dry. Now, this is the stencil I'm going to put on. I just made this. A friend of mine made this for me. And I'm going to put it right there on this other side and shoot that line. Paint more of the stencil than you do the lure. But I will leave some of the, I will get some of the paint on there, that way it makes it pop. So I'm going to get opaque black. A little bit of it in my airbrush. It is ready to go. And just like I showed you guys on the other side of the lure, I'm just Put it on there about where I want it. And paint it. You'll find your own way of doing these things. I paint just like that to where it fades up. Hit that with a dryer because we're going to take lines straight up the side of that. Now, when you flip it around on these stencils, we just painted this side, so it's going to have black on it. So make sure you wipe that off before you lay that down, because you got to flip it. You got to reverse it. So lay this. Let me get my airbrush in my hand. Some people use clamps. That's fine if you start. You want to do that, but I just hold mine over there because you're just doing a light coating under it, and it will leave you just like that. Let's hit that with a dryer. It literally a few seconds it'll dry that thin coat that we put on there, and that's dry. When I'm doing my vertical, I like to turn my lower up, and I use this little guy. Got a little curve on him. Move this away from my phone so I don't get paint on my phone. And then a little coat up. And a little coat up. And that is my crawl going up, so we need to dry that. Now, what I do here, because I hand hold my stencils up, I always go to the back where that crawl comes up. I go straight across the back with the same thing. Instead of using the curved part, I use the flat side. And I go right to my line, hold it straight, hit it right across the top. It gives you that. Hit that with the dryer. The reason that I do that way, I don't do the other side up, because I want that to meet. So now I know exactly where to take it. Turn this. Make sure you clean these off because they will splatter paint on you lower. And that is done. Now let's dry that. On this one, sometimes I'm real careful with my stencils, make sure I don't get any paint. Like you'll see a little bit of paint behind that, but I don't really care about that because I'm gonna splatter black on it, so it's just gonna fit right in with the rest of it. Now I'm gonna be putting eyes in this, so I'm gonna go ahead and paint around the eyes with the front. Like that. Now when I put red eyes in that thing, it's going to pop. So that is a crawl. Now I'm going to take my airbrush and set it down. I use a paint brush. Find it. this. All I do, make sure it's loose. I'll take my black and dip the tip of it down in it, get some paint on it. This I will flick paint onto my lure. And that's why I said I didn't care about the, because I'm going to do that anyways. Flick that black on there. When I first dip it, I always flick it once or twice, not on the lure, because the first time you put the lure in there, it's going to be heavy with paint. First time you put the paintbrush in, it's going to come out heavier on paint. And that is what it looks like. And we'll dry that, and then throw some epoxy, some eyes, and epoxy on that one, and it is done. I hope this video helps you. Some of the things that I use when I paint, this is what I use to make my circles. I wear gloves to keep from paint. If I'm going to do a circle, that's what I do there. I use masking tape. This is a lure I painted this morning. Now you can see the way the crawl pattern worked on that one. And on that one I hit some lines on the bottom, changes it up. But those are the same paint. This one has a 2-part epoxy on it. It's ready to fish. That when you put epoxy on those, it's going to make them colors pop. I use a Defcon 2-ton epoxy, it's clear, and that will look just like it, just as shiny when I put it on there. That is just a kind of style. That's a bluegill. I think I showed this one. That's another crawl on a square bill. Just painted the top of it. That is another crawl. I just put a bunch of colors in that one. Customers already bought it. I thought it turned out good. And that's a perch. It turned out good. But I hope this video helps some of you out there that's trying to learn to paint. Feel free to message me anytime, any questions. Thank you guys.